going, Nick?
very stock specific. I mean, it's obviously been what they'd call a stock picker's market, but like just today in particular, it's kind of like, I mean, I think this is kind of the action we should be expecting kind of going into the election, whether you think it's going to run before or after, however you think it's going to play out. I think it's going to be a little, we got Tesla on Wednesday.
Tesla's gonna do jack shit, dude.
Yeah, I kind
Yeah,
of,
he hasn't moved the needle. He hasn't done anything that's of value. This, like, it's not gonna do anything until they meaningfully show a earnings growth cycle, and all he does is fluff. And until that happens, it's just gonna be this, right? Like, it's just it loses 20% on a whim. So
This guy sounding like me.
I'm just, I'm trying to be optimistic. I have a position from under the 200 days, so I'm not too concerned. I'm definitely not going to allow the trade to turn red. Um, I guess I'm just kind of hoping that kind of island bottoms out here. And again, like a lot of what the perspective that I'm speaking from is kind of like a, brainless idiot that's just looking at charts, not so much um, you
You
know,
are not a brainless idiot.
well, I mean, like again, my point of like I'm just looking for patterns and like a ticker's a ticker to me for the most part. Again, like whether we're talking XBI or XLE or any of the shit, it's just like I don't know. I liken myself to like kind of like a gunslinger. Like I just look at the charts and looks good on my buy, it looks like shit on
it's
my sell.
literally gapped down five of the last six earnings. Like, it's just what it is. There is nothing on the technically daily or weekly that is. I'm saying it's neutral. I'm not saying it's bearish or bullish. It's just, and for the last 3 years, in any of the cases where it's neutral, the bias to the downside resumes, right? So
I
unless
think
there,
I think the conversation is the same. Like to your point, like gold, it's like, dude, set your alerts at 280 or 300 and almost ignore it till then.
yeah, or you get a rebuy at 100, one or the other. That's what's it's
Yeah,
good. It's
So,
either
so you're
going
saying I
to.
shouldn't go all in right here on Elon?
I
Well, you should on his petition because you can win $1 million. Um, but you have to be in a swing state. Is Kentucky a swing state?
No.
He's basically bribing people and he's doing it legally. It's pretty fucking ballsy.
dude,
Do we want to start an election talk with me 2 weeks out? Do we really want to do that? I don't
No,
think we
no,
do.
no,
I
no,
know. Nah, we're good.
no.
No, I don't think we want to bring that level of vitriol to the pod today. I mean, I'm in a beautiful location. GPI is a 7, right? On the old Twitter. GP, yes, right? GPI is a
Yes,
7.
yes, yes.
There wasn't one to come up, so I was just making sure because I was tardy last week. I was absent actually. So sorry to you guys, and sorry to anyone who loves to regularly follow us and watch the pod. I overslept. I was I've got a medical condition going on, and I came home and I just passed out. So my apologies. I woke up right at 4:15 and I was like, oh shit, the podcast. And I woke up and Nick and GP had sent me a bunch of texts. I was like, my bad, guys. I let us down. But hey, we're here now. The tweets have been twatted. We are all here. I'm at the beach. Hi. GP and Nick are in their normal locations, but this is dedication. This is what I'm here for, is to bring it live to you. So we're here. Hi.
Hello.
What's
That's all I
cracking?
got. That's all I got. We'll come
Let's
back
go.
next week.
Yeah,
Should
see
we
you
come
next
back
week.
next week? Or no, two
Let's
weeks
go
from
back.
now?
No, let's go to the Tesla chart. I want to go to the Tesla chart. Um, we have we have talked a lot about Tesla. since the beginning of this pod, and we're still in this god awful range. Oh, it's so miserable. But that's kind of what it looks like. I'm gonna reduce that. Not too much going on here on my screen. I'm used to having two monitors, but none of that today. So we're going to get by. We're going to see how well we can do it. But it, I mean, Nick, does it look so bad it's good or no?
I mean, I
No.
like how it looks, but it's hanging by a thread basically. If you from the daily, like if you connect the low from that gap low back in April, yep, the gap low. Yeah, so nope. The I'm sorry, the gap high then, I guess maybe. Or yeah, sure. You can leave that. You can leave the trend line there. It's basically the same trend line. That's kind of the trend line that I'm watching, except I have it connected from the up there. What is that? The blue 10-day that you got up there? Yeah, right there. I've got it drawn like kind of right there. So it's basically hanging kind of right above that. I don't it's below the 50-day. The what like my thought process is if you just draw a box around the range over the last couple weeks, the last week, if we gap out of this, you could say that that's an island bottom and it's
Yep.
kind of like right off of this trend line. If price gaps out of this range higher, and let's say it popped above the 50-day, like we could get a squeeze run high and rip. But again, to kind of like, what GP and I were talking about prior, it's like Tesla's in this massive fucking range. If you're not already in an existing position and you're not trading it, you might as well just set an alert at like, between 270, 280 or 260. Because once it,
Yeah, it's got to pop through that 265. I mean, you can
yeah,
see that pretty
sure.
clearly right there. That's where that pink line is. And
That's when the trade will really get running.
Zooming back out to the weekly, I mean, there's an area of conflict, right? Like it's a battle zone right around that pink line I have, or fuchsia line, whatever color you want to call it. And it's rejected already, and it's rejected already again. I mean, I think you either gotta, I kind of like your idea on the potential island reversal setup there. Because I do think it's so ugly, it's all right. I think your risk is down to 200. If it loses the 200-day again, then that's a bigger issue. But for me, that's a pretty easy stop. I'm not saying I want to go from 220 down to 202. But I think that would be a pretty easy place to kind of expect a bounce if you got one. But I'm not putting money to work in Tesla right now.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
should
if you
be.
don't have any,
So,
you don't have any
but
cushion, there's absolutely no reason to, I don't think to get involved now, but the only catalyst that you have is the, earnings on Wednesday. Unless something else.
no, that's not the only catalyst. There's the elections as well. So, I personally, this has, to me, Tesla has always forever been an earnings conversation, right? It will trade massive ranges based on pump master flex, but the only two times in history that Tesla has broken out substantially is when it went profitable in 2013, and then when it did sustain profitability in 2019. That was October, right? So you have like it's a overall fundamental conversation disguised by monster ranges for years on end before they execute and then they go off to the end. So the question is whether this earnings or the next earnings, it's possible because this is the first time we're having earnings on a monthly MACD cross, which has not happened since 2019. So a little over 5 years, October of 2019 to be exact, was the last time it had a monthly MACD cross. So where I start is always at the highest time frame, and you have a monster bullish conversation happening on the monthly, yet the weekly and the daily look like a little bit of garbage mixed in with a little bit of shit. A little bit of puke. It's
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
so for my whole thing is where stocks are supposed to behave like they are ready for the bull run, don't behave the way they are right now. So for Tesla to come all the way back down to 220 and can't find a buyer for the life of its fucking existence, is a big concern for me, right? If you had told me that it would be still sitting at like 255, 260 going into earnings, then I would be like, okay, well, at least it's showing that bulls are showing up for the party. But right now, it doesn't seem like it. The only thing I can think of at this point in the chart is a monthly conversation. Otherwise, it's going to faff around. It's back down to 180, back up to 270, 180, 271, like until Elon comes out. And even his robo taxi event, right? He continues to be the pump master flex. He delays it by 2 months to bust out renderings to say, hey, in 2 years we might have this. You can't delay stuff and then give no concrete timelines, right? That's what everyone was.
He had to hire the actors to, voice and move the robots for him.
Yeah, and basically he built a car on top of like a Fiero subframe. You remember those back in the day, the Ferrari chassis?
I think I sent you one from Facebook Marketplace not too long ago.
Exactly. So that's what it felt like he spent 2 months doing after watching that event, which was like, dude, are you serious? You're doing this in a closed setting? You were in LA. Do this on the streets of LA. Right? Like show that you're confident in your abilities, and yeah, he'll execute. The question is when. And with all the stuff that he's doing on the political landscape, I don't think it's anytime soon, guys. Like
Yeah, I don't think he's focused on that at all. I think he's in
he's
the
dark
political sphere.
MAGA, and he's rallying in Pennsylvania. Like there's only so much time you can do for your multiple companies when you're spending 90% of your time publicly in rally mode or tweet mode, right? That's the reality. And I will never bet against him because he does execute over time. The question is whether it's 5 years, 7 years, 15 years for him.
Well, let's jump straight to Netflix then. Our bull market leader. I mean, 8% up on the month. Up what is that? 0.75% today. I mean, is it go time, GP?
It is, right?
Is our girlfriend Netflix taking off?
You have two of the biggest bull market leaders, let's say three, all going up in the same day. NVIDIA, Apple, and Netflix. While the rest of the market takes a gigantic dog shit, your three leaders in respective spaces that matter are all pushing towards all-time highs. Like, step back. The elections are the elections, so small caps probably won't go till elections are done, etc. But you have three of your strongest indicators telling you we are going higher. Whether they fuck around every single day until elections, it's not relevant. The question is, like, when they let it go, how powerful it's going to be. The longer they keep it here, the higher that shit's going. So strap in.
I mean, I don't know if they're near all-time highs. It looks like all of them are all-time highs right now.
Well, Netflix technically tagged all-time highs like an hour ago and is pulled back.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was an hour late, you old crotchety fuck.
No. That's but that's exactly what I'm saying. These guys are crushing or near all-time highs, while whatever the market is doing intraday every day, basically it gaps up in the morning, sells off for a half an hour, and then from 10 a.m. to about 3:47 p.m. it goes sideways. Like
it's 3 points off its all-time high as we speak. So yes, technically it's near all-time highs.
Yeah, and so if you're looking at a lot of these charts, especially in the mega cap names, Netflix was a good example. They're leading by example. Instead of having a rounding top at all-time highs like it did in 2021 at 700, it had a rounding bottom, right, on the weekly time frame. So if you zoom further out, bags, right, you can see it. It's distinctly a rounding top there, right, with the last thrust, and then you have this rounding bottom here near all-time highs, where it spent 16 weeks consolidating and then finally breaking out. It's a 3-year consolidative breakout. You may get a retest back to 700 because Netflix is a gigantic turd, but the measured move here is to 1200, 1250 on Netflix, and it's just starting to break out.
I don't feel like we give Tim Apple enough love on the show. Um, I mean, what's the saying, Nick? The wider the base, right?
Bigger the base, higher in space.
Oh my God. I mean, if you go from
Yeah.
the 2020 to 2024 base here, we're just starting, right? Like, I mean, if you use that as a base right here, we're hitting in this lower blue, we're really just starting on Apple. And everybody a few months ago was writing Apple off for dead.
Yeah, but you can get Nvidia 5 trillion if Apple's not hitting 5 trillion as well, right? Like it's not happening. So if you need the expansion in multiple on Nvidia, you need it across the board. And Apple will help with that. But it's not just Apple. Amazon, same structure. It is a rounding bottom on the weekly versus a rounding top when it tried to break out in 2021.
Talk to me, Daddy. Yes.
So these Microsoft is probably the weakest looking one, but somehow managed to avoid the 50-200 death cross, like very narrowly. It's sitting right on that rising weekly 50 moving average, but it's probably the weakest out of the mega cap names. Maybe Google second. But
Yeah,
Microsoft was also the leader way before any of these other names were, right? They were crushing. So
they crushed.
So that
Absolutely.
from what we've talked about, like a finite FANG money perspective, it makes sense that money's coming out of Microsoft and going into names like Netflix and Amazon and potentially Google and other names because it's just rotation.
Hey Nick, back to Apple.
Yeah.
Not usually the thing that you would buy or would like to buy or trade really that often, right? But what do you
No,
think about this setup? What do you think about the structure?
I mean, I love Apple. I think Apple looks phenomenal. Um, Apple, Amazon, and Google, I think all three of them look absolutely rip ready. Um, and I agree with GP. I think Microsoft probably is probably the least interesting to me, anyways. But
Not named Tesla, right? Like we're talking the mega
yeah,
megas, not the magnificent seven.
Apple in particular, like I thought on the daily was great. It kind of put in somewhat of a head and shoulders back, earlier in this or kind of going into the summer.
Yep.
And on whatever day that was on August 5th, that monster gap
Yep.
down
Yep.
basically drilled the measured move from the head and shoulders and pretty much never looked back. And then we started once it reclaimed that neckline, it kind of bounced sideways, started to wedge, busted out there, moved sideways, and now we're just kind of like, again, flirting with highs. Yeah, I started actually, interestingly, he's not listening, but I started getting uber bullish on Apple when Perlman was just fucking harping on Cook on StockTwits. I don't know why, but I was like, dude, I think Apple, I don't know, I think you're counting Apple out here. Like that massive base that it put in basically all of last year. I don't know. I'm preaching the choir here. I think Apple looks great.
You know, I
Apple
love to do this. If I were to give you $10,000 and I said you had to buy a mega cap, not named Netflix, who would you buy for me?
God, I want to say Amazon just because it's kind of sitting at a 3 or 4 week tight right now. So I
Yeah.
think it's got a measured move to about 220, 230. But this I'd probably say Amazon or Apple. Kind of same thing with Apple. Let me see, Apple. I mean, it busted out of its 3 week tight last week. 215 to just based on pure points, I'd go with Amazon, I guess. Because I think Amazon's got a 40 point run coming, where Apple's got like probably like an easy, 20 to 30 points coming. But
What say you, GP?
I'd
Amazon?
actually do Microsoft.
Really? Just because it looks so bad?
Because it's it's the closest to the 50-week moving average, the rising 50-week moving average, that my risk to reward scenario in this is inherently better because some like the FANG names off their weekly 50s are usually powerful setups. So when FANG names break out, they break out, but they're not like insanely powerful, right? So
I guess
So you put my ten
Microsoft's
thousand
hitting
dollars to
3 week
work
tight here
today
too,
in
right on.
Microsoft.
sorry, what? I didn't hear that at all.
Sorry, you put my $10,000 to work today in Microsoft.
I would do all of it in Microsoft with a really tight stop at that 50-week.
I mean, Microsoft is sitting 3 week tight here too.
Yeah,
So
but
Yeah.
it's also the furthest from an all-time high. So it's got while it may move with the other ones, the
You
other
figure
ones
it's
will
going to
come.
470, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
at worst, it's a trade.
it's a trade, but it's also close to a 20% trade in a FANG name, which is a lot better than what Amazon or Google I think can do. I think Google could actually probably do better. So I'd probably split between Google and Microsoft. But the FANG names are best to buy when they're breaking down, not when they're breaking out. So
well, I'm going with the Fung Yu. How about that?
Fung you, that works
Oh,
too.
you're giving me the 3X mega cap ETF. I'm not mad at that. You know, I like to dabble in those.
So here's a question for you both.
Go.
What if the July to August timeframe was our mini COVID?
July to August.
Yeah.
We
Oh
had
yeah.
an 84-point move down in the Qs in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
VIX hit 67, and look at what the market did after November 2020.
Didn't I say that when we came on about the Japanese yen trade? Didn't I say like this is almost like the COVID breakdown?
You might have, but my memory is like a fish these days, so
That's okay.
um, I
I said it's a
apologize if you
mini.
did.
I'm pretty sure I said I think it's a mini version of this.
Yeah,
It's all scale, right? I mean, you're not looking for something exactly the same, but it's scale, and the pattern is very similar. I
and the moves.
wholeheartedly agree.
And the moves and individual names were very similar. Like, look at what they did to coin, right? In that time frame. Look at what they did to Tesla. Look at what they did to even a stock that's sitting at nearly 200% from August 5th. APP.
So just for some perspective, and I know I don't have the best monitor to show this right now, but right about here's the election, I think. Yep, right here's the election, right? And if you make that smaller, the drop down and the extended out from COVID, it's not crazy to think I want to put it on the dailies to better illustrate it. It's just a mini version. It really is. It's just a mini version of that drop. Anyway, Nick, I'm interested to hear your thoughts about that question.
No, I mean, we've basically been in a range for since I mean, God, realistically, since April. I mean, you could probably even argue probably argue almost all of 2024, where we've basically been in a range from, let's just say the Q is from between 4 and 500.
Yeah, but also like think about the 2020 COVID timeframe. Do you remember around September 1st or September 2nd when we started, we had that monster push up from Masasan with all the options trading and all that
Yeah,
other stuff. That news came out and the market just crashed and then pretty much
yeah,
went sideways till October, till
yeah,
elections.
yeah,
We opened September in the same exact manner, which is
yeah.
a nasty, nasty drawdown for a week straight. And now we've been pretty much stuck in that tight range since then. So the parallels are kind of getting to be uncanny. But the game doesn't change, the players do. So
Speaking of changing the players, Alexander wants to know what we think about Zuck and Meta. Do you think this is, I mean, I can argue that's a little bit of a rounding, but it wouldn't be anything more than a retest to me at, around 540 or so, 550 maybe. What do you guys think about Meta?
I mean, it was the strongest of them, just considering it broke out. I had a measured move up to 640, um, just based on the breakout from last January. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just
Yeah.
digesting its move right now.
I mean,
600.
I wouldn't like it better than NVIDIA. Right now, I don't like it any better than NVIDIA or Amazon um, or Netflix even. I would say I like it better than Microsoft, but I think Microsoft's fantastic.
The wind is definitely at your back with Meta, just considering it already like it's a continuation trade right now versus like other than I guess
I
NVIDIA
mean,
and
you're up 530% in 2 years, right? Like, I mean, that's just it's crazy
so
talk for a mega
I
cap.
I I would expect Netflix's chart to look like Meta's breakout retest, right? So Meta looks like it wants to retest that 530, 542 level before earnings, which would probably be a great buy, in my opinion. And then you have a tighter stop. But it broke out, had a good few weeks, is going to retest because that's what this market does. It retests constantly of every level possible. Especially knowing that earnings are coming up. It's the perfect time to retest because mentality wise, it's like, oh, what do they know that I don't know? It's down 10, 15% into earnings. It's just traditional bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. But I like the retest possibility angle here, which is right around that 542, 545 level going into earnings. I think that's also like the 20 week, is it?
Alexander says 4 week tight.
There's no such thing. Sorry. If you're referring to the canceling method, it's a 3 week tight.
Yeah, I don't see the four there.
Yeah, and it's
It's
not a 1 to 2%.
it's
Not a one
hard for
to
me to
two.
say.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. So retest into the 20 week moving average, which is right around that 532, 5 something level. 4 week tight is not a thing. It also has to actually be tight. So
Yeah, yeah,
just be very like on these technically bullish setups, be pretty diligent about how you define them. Otherwise, it's a biased conversation around what you're trying to see. These moves are supposed to be within 1 to 2% of each other, right? Closing candles. So whether you're looking on a daily, weekly, monthly, whatever time frame, even if it's 2.1, that's not the setup. The setup is 1.5 to 2% max.
Jason wants to hear you just lather up coin, GP. Do you want to lather up coin a little bit?
Why? It's a piss poor piece of shit. Um,
It only had a 25% last week. I mean, gee.
Yeah, but
whiz.
look at what MicroStrategy is doing. Look at what Wolf is doing. Look at what everything else is doing. Yet Coin, for whatever reason today, is a fuck around and find out mode, and it is severely underperforming MicroStrategy over the last 6 months. Right, MicroStrategy is near all-time high breakout, 52-week pivot high breakout, and
Wolf
Coin's still
actually
sitting
looks
here.
really good.
Yeah. And Coin is sitting here faffing around, losing $5 for no fucking reason, right? Like it's if you look at the flow, this is a flow conversation in Coin. MicroStrategy has been outperforming it, so it would have
I
been
really
nice
like
to
this
see.
Wolf chart.
Yeah, and especially after last week when Coin finally outperformed MicroStrategy, you would have expected it to continue, right? To play catch up, and it's not. So what we started talking in the conversation earlier is like when things start to behave in not the way they should from a technical perspective, it's probably time to put your caution hat on. I'm not saying
Nick, what do
tomorrow
you-
won't do 20% because Coin is wild, but it's just something to notice. It's been inherently bearish versus MicroStrategy over the last 6 to 8 months. Look at what MicroStrategy did. Perfect 200-day bounce, retest, and technically just looks beautiful. I think Coin was like 40% below the 200-day or 30% below the 200-day in the same scenario. So
Nick, would you chase Wolf here?
it's not a chase.
Well, I mean, it is a little bit, GP. Let's just come on. Let's.
It's a chase for
This was a $1 stock just a couple months ago.
Yeah, I'd have no problem throwing a starter on. I'd probably be sized to average down versus 550 or $5, and then also to add through 650. So like I'd be sized to leg in either direction.
what I can tell you is you'll probably have another 2 weeks for this market to do jack shit. So there's no rush for anything anyway.
Totally.
Wet blanket, GP.
We've been talking
Jason
about
said, ha ha ha, classic GP. Love it.
6 weeks. 6 weeks we've been talking about this shit. And so far, we haven't gone anywhere. So you guys can take your wet blankets and shove it up where it doesn't shine.
I mean,
I mean, sometimes it's good to wipe with.
yeah, I suppose.
Dude, we haven't done shit in like literally 8 weeks. So you guys can take your wet blankets and put out a fire with it because it's not over here.
Wow. You're spicy today. You're
Yeah.
spicy. I'm over here chill, you know, enjoying the beach vibes, and GP's like, I'm from New York. Fuck you. Make some money.
I'm actually just bored out of my mind. So anything to lighten up the mood and add some fire to the day. I'm literally washing clothes instead. So that's my days these days. What else can I clean?
All right. Well, with that talk of Coinbase, I mean, I feel like we've got to jump on the Bitcoin wagon here, which is just absolutely, we'll talk about faffing around. Big week last week, which obviously helped Coin, right? Was a big catalyst for that. I mean,
Yeah.
we're going to take a 10% week and smile about it, but still having trouble at that 68 level. Just broke through it a little bit yesterday, and then right back down today, right? Like 68, sort of the number that we've got to get above and hold eventually.
I really would love to see a 58 retest. I think everyone in their mother would give up on Bitcoin here after this long and this like bullish of a look. A complete flush down to 57, 58,000 would be hilarious, but also would create a insane buyable bottom. Do I want it? No. I would rather just it stop faffing around. But once again, technically get to a point, you should break out, not break down. And
I don't think it stops at 58 if it does that though.
it's the 50, it's a rising 50-week moving average. So
Yeah,
it's,
no, I got you. I'm just telling you, I don't think it stops if it gets there.
That's how I felt when it took out 60 like a couple weeks ago. I was like, dude, I think this thing's rolling, but like it literally spiked the lows and ripped. I think today might have been your gift versus the 10-day.
I hope so, right? On every time frame is looked that way, but
Yeah.
for every time I think something is gonna bullishly break out, it literally does the fucking opposite. So I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised with a flush, like a really quick flush wick back up through, right? Like
Yeah. Well,
overnight.
if we use the cookie rule, right, the 9 monthly, we're looking at 62.32. That's why I'm a
Okay.
little skeptical of 58. And not because of cookie. I'm just skeptical of 58 because if you look at these wicks, I mean, we're not afraid to go down lower um, than that. And yeah, it could be a quick flush and then bounce, but how many times you gonna knock on the door? This is the weekly. One, two, three, four, five, six. All right. Like how many times you gonna be able to knock and fail?
I mean,
Yeah,
when this
yeah, I don't disagree with that. But we've been doing it for like literally all of 2024.
Yes,
So
sir. The entire
so
year.
yeah.
Our friend Nasty Nate made an interesting point. That he thinks this is just a huge um you know consolidation and people just buying here. Um, the ETFs started up. This is just a big accumulation phase, and not to get shaken out. I don't disagree, but I don't want to see 58 again.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's what, as Nate was saying, or we were talking in our little Discord group, and I'm like, this is the result of institutional money, right? Like this is what happens when the
yeah,
big dogs come to play. You literally have this fucking nonsense. And like the whole crypto space, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum, when they got momentum. They didn't go sideways for 9 months, right? Like they might have gone sideways for 4 to 5 months, but this is all got all the footprints of what institutional money does, which it lulls you to sleep before it drips and then rips, right?
yeah.
So
I like
um
that. Did
it's
you
just
just
what it does.
did you make a come with that?
What?
It drips before it rips. I gotta write that
It
down.
drips before it
No,
rips.
it's the same. It's the same look. If we just go off a small tangent, look at App 11, right? This is a great example of that. I know there's been a lot of other ones that haven't had that same result, but if you look at App 11, there was
I'm getting there.
monster.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. If you're looking at the weekly time frame, going into that drip down into the 200 day, right? Or the 50 week, whatever you want to look at, is what kind of dreams are made of. The you have this monster accumulation and then this nasty shakeout, and then it's up nearly 200% since then.
So dreams are made of.
Yeah, but this is
What
what
was
they
that?
do. This is
August.
what institutional footprints look like, right? They accumulate, they accumulate, they accumulate. They're scared the living shit out of you, and then they rip it higher.
And then boom.
If you don't remember, it's exactly what happened in COVID. 5 weeks, 37% down after years of accumulation, and then ripped higher without anyone participating. You know how many people were still bears going uh into elections last time around in 2020?
Yes, I remember that very well.
Yeah. Like, yo, the Fed just told you we're gonna give you as much money as possible whenever you need it at no cost. And you're trying to be a bear? I think you misunderstand
I was
macro.
alive in that time frame. I remember it well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we'll be back here week 7 talking about the fact that the markets haven't moved at all, and I'm still the wet blanket. And then we'll be back
Yep.
here week
Yep.
8, and the market still won't have moved because it's Monday right before elections. And then
Do
so
we
week
want to, do we
nine.
want to postpone and be after the election that week?
No. I'd rather you guys rip on me for this time. It's good. It's healthy for me. Gives me something to do.
You're,
I mean, I
you're,
just-
you're our
Get
Daniel
Jason on.
Jones.
Get Jason on.
You're a Daniel Jones. You are our
No,
Daniel Jones.
please do not. I can be a better quarterback than that guy. He literally looks dumb. He's the dumbest, highest educated quarterback I've ever seen in a New York Giants.
We're losing Nick right now by sports talk.
Yes.
We could have like a sports talk segment where GP and I can get our 5 to 10 minutes of just ripping on sports, but we won't do that today, Nick. We'll let you hang up and listen.
I'm disappointed the Mets aren't there, but hopefully it's the next year with the Liberty. Shout out to the New York Liberty for winning the WNBA championship.
Yeah, that was great.
First one in New York since 1971. The men couldn't do it, so the women did it for them.
Yeah, that's right. Just like in this election, the men can't do it, so the women's going to do it for us.
Oh no! Now you're just throwing Nick in the fire. Ironically, none of our lives are honestly going to change with any political situation. But
Nope. I really don't think it matters.
yeah,
I don't think it matters one bit. I think we're moving into a period of like major deregulation, no matter who gets elected, and this market's gonna fucking rip.
I don't know if
Nick,
I agree with that. But
we were talking about
rip,
crypto before we hit this tangent. Nick, is there any cryptos that you're looking at or like or want to be involved with right now, or you're just like, fuck it, I don't have any interest?
Let me pull up my Coinbase. I mean,
Would you say alternate while you were looking that up, Nick? Would you say all cryptos and stuff would be more of a January-ish conversation? Because Bitcoin actually needs to break out first. December, January.
From what I'm like seeing with like kind of the crypto bros that I follow on like Twitter, they're all like crazy bulled up. I kind of like the approach I've taken is like I own, let's see here in my Coinbase account, I got ICP, Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, FET, Litecoin, Sui, like I still got some near Chainlink. I kind of like throw the way I look at it is like almost like small lotto plays. Like if they go to zero, I don't give a shit. But the people that are discussing them, like you guys per se, like I respect your input. Obviously, like I want to like the chart. But Bitcoin is the one that I mainly DCA in, and then I've got Ethereum as well. And I think Ethereum looks great too.
Near actually looks pretty interesting. Right
As far as like, I don't mean to go like again too crazy conspiracy theory, but like where I think we're going is that, like, dude, eventually, if you want to sell your 100 shares of Apple for, I don't know, 5 Solana coins, like eventually we're gonna be able to do that. I think we're just in a kind of a wild, wild west period right now where, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of the approach I've taken with the crypto stuff.
What's performing today? SoFi, NVIDIA,
miners, Wolf, Hut,
Marvell,
Cipher. Look at Cipher, CIFR. Look at Wolf. Look at Hut. Look at MicroStrategy.
My favorite
Shop.
is ripping hymns.
What's that?
I've been cheerleading hymns like a mofo.
Yeah, that one.
You want to talk about that, Nick? I saw you cash tag that. You need some hair growth or some ED treatment?
It's a boner pill, man. Like I just think that like I don't know, like I like the way the chart looks, like it's putting out a big cup and handle. I liked the massive igniting bar last week. I got shaken out of it whenever that was in August, July. I got kind of it stung. But I don't know, I'm back in it. I love it. I think it's going to 14 to 22. It's fast. So I got like
50.
I got to measure move to 30 on the near term from
Near
here.
term, but I think longer term's to 50.
Yeah.
I so fumbled that entry on 13 or 14 on HIMS. It was right in the middle of that the August 5th crap, and you're like, well, I'm not putting money to work into this speculative name when
Yeah,
other names
totally.
that I believe are better values or better long-term investments. And so
Yeah.
that's the quandary that we usually face, right? Like when things go on sale like that, everything's on sale. So you're like, "Fuck, where do I put my money?"
I
Yeah.
mean, the thing too is like, this isn't even conspiracy theory. There was a clip recently of Clinton speaking to a group in Atlanta, I believe. They were just talking about border stuff. I mean, that's irrelevant, but what he said was the United States is dealing, he literally said the United States is dealing with population decline. Like, it's not realistic to think that we can just close the borders. We just need a better vetting process, which I totally agree with. But the fact that we're dealing with population decline, I think anything biomedical and like sex related or reproductive related, not just on the men's side, but the female side as well, I think is going to be a massive. It has to be. Like, at what point does like the United States start incentivizing you having kids and more kids and more kids and more kids? I don't know.
When we get someone under the age of 60,
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. Same.
where's your Adonis? You need an Adonis in the in office, right? So quick I did a quick Google search when you asked that question. When was the last time we had a president that looked like Adonis? The answer is never. And the closest one that we've ever had is ironically, I'll let you two guess the two closest picks. Give me two presidents that you think were at the top of their peak physical.
That's shit. I wouldn't even have a guess. I don't know.
I'm gonna
One's
say
recent, one's
Obama.
old.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Obama.
Yeah. Obama and Clinton.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say Obama or Clinton, and not the old one would probably be. Oh man, um, trying to think back. Kennedy.
No, I'm naturally skinny, but not really like fit. George Bush Jr. He used to
Oh,
run 6 miles, six days a week. He was lifting. He was actually in pretty like if you look at him in some of the old shapes, I thought it was bullshit, and then I looked up some of his stuff. He looked pretty decent. I was like, oh,
Buff.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
interesting.
Pretty buff. And the
I
other
was just
one,
going off the age, not necessarily how buff they were. But go ahead. Sorry,
yeah, and the other one was Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy. All right.
Which makes sense. It's in the time where you needed to be rugged and diesel to do anything in life because there was no cars, there was nothing. You had to walk everywhere.
Nick, just about the population, or I guess birth rate is probably a better way to classify it. We may be in decline a little bit there, but we're still better than most industrialized countries.
I think we're the top.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, I think
so
we're like
it's all a
people.
matter of perspective, is what I'm trying to
Oh yeah.
say, right? Like,
Like the way that or Jim Roppel was talking in his video, I couldn't agree more. People are coming here, not the other way around. To
exactly,
be a doom and gloomer on the United States is absolutely delusional.
it's asinine.
Yeah. Like it was an interesting point that he made. I was like, oh, like he was like, we're attracting the talent from other countries. If anything, like we're stealing their talent rather than the other way around. Sure, okay, whatever. Like I've never felt, I mean, granted, like I haven't lived forever or whatever, but like I've never felt as like bullish and optimistic on our country and future as I have as of recently. I legitimately do not care or think it matters one way or another who is elected. I really don't.
It
Are you
never
gonna vote?
has.
No. Yeah.
Nick's not voting. Okay.
Like the same
know
money
what?
that's pushing the market around is the same money that's deciding who's going to be elected. So it's like, okay,
And none of these guys are selling because Kamala or Trump are in the office, right? They're
no,
like, they're
no,
like, hey, AI is gonna make me a bunch of money, but oh no, Kamala has been elected, so let's fucking sell everything. No,
yeah, exactly,
that's
exactly,
literally not an investment thesis.
right.
But it's these guys are smart. They know you'll see it when it starts to turn, right? And I think elections in general are bullish by nature because it's a resolution of uncertainty. And
Yeah,
uncertainty is the root of all problems in the market. And we've had uncertainty for many, many years. It's a natural byproduct of the market. So when you have the short-term clarity, and even last year, the markets, because not last year, last election cycle, the markets didn't get clarity until that Sunday after elections because Trump wouldn't concede. And so
sure.
the markets didn't do anything. As soon as we got clarity on that Sunday, we ripped out, right? It was just normal.
Boom. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
So
It
I
No matter what trials and tribulations we're going through, like let's just hypothetically, let's just say we're talking about voter fraud. And that is the big issue that comes from this election. It's only going to lead to more transparency in the future. It's only going to lead to like more innovation, more, more and better. Like I don't know. Yeah,
I don't think voter fraud's our issue. I mean, the majority of the issue would be immigration. I think what you mentioned earlier, Nick, is spot on. Like, yes, it's a problem to have too many undocumented people coming into the country as freely and accessibility as they had. But at the same time, people are coming here, not leaving here. And ultimately, that's a good thing. And that's a thing that policy can help work out as opposed to, just arguing about it to argue about it. Right.
I think there
We got
is a
5 minutes left in the market day.
And guess what just went green? Microsoft.
Apple. Oh, I don't know. I'm just here shooting the shit. I don't really know. The Qs are up.
And look at that. Coin is getting destroyed while MicroStrategy is hitting all high a day every single day.
Getting destroyed. It's
Goodness.
down 3% for the day.
No, I'm saying it just dropped $5 in the last 7 minutes, while MicroStrategy has gone up $4 in the last 7 minutes.
Oh, let me turn on my 1 minute chart. There we go. No, MicroStrategy is dropping like a stone too.
It's not.
It did. I've got it on the screen right now.
That's not my screen.
it's still an inside bar.
On coin, yes.
Yeah.
When you have 10% moves, inside bars aren't that hard to do.
I'm going to make that my avatar, not dropping like a rock.
Netflix going out on top, NVIDIA going out on top,
Apple near the top.
Apple near the top.
Okay, maybe not, but at least Nvidia and Netflix are.
Speaking of, I know I've said this. I really, really, really love the way AMD is looking.
I tweeted about it today. I mean, it's the bane of my existence. I'm probably worse at trading AMD than I am fucking trading any of the
Well, stop trading it.
You can't trade AMD. You literally just have to own it. Like it is
perfect spot right here today, I think.
and
Yeah,
then it
I
gaps
love
down
that.
7% tomorrow. It's literally impossible to trade.
Yeah.
You just got to grab the tiger by its tail and hold on.
Hold on.
Yeah. Hold on.
Dude,
Hold on, so baby, I'm coming home.
Bitcoin is doing exactly what we wanted to do, which is great. Back to back hammer awakes off the 4-hour 52 SMA.
Yeah.
Which is 52 daily. So
Market's closing. Let's start buying some Bitcoin.
And look at the volume that's come in on
exactly, Nick. My trading day here's done. Let's play all night in some Bitcoin.
Yeah. You're gonna be gray by the time you turn 40, man, or 41.
That does
Yep.
look like a pretty good 4-hour chart.
That looks great, right? Look at the volume on the 4-hour candle to follow
Yeah,
up.
that's
I
that's
think
what I was.
it's a retest of the breakout here too. Everyone was expecting a Monday Warner candle, so obviously it had to go down. I I would like to see actual continuation and a breakout at some point, but it might also wait till elections.
IWM, man.
That
Yeah,
shit's not going till Wednesday, November 11th, and then you can buy calls on Wednesday for about 10% out of the money, and they should get in the money because the release is going to be insane as soon as elections are done.
What else do we want with that? Let's look at all XLE as we're winding
all the
down.
nuclear
Nothing.
stuff is absolutely on fire.
That's why Wolf is
There's-
running, right? Nuclear plus crypto.
Yeah. IREN was one that Randy called out last week. Had an awesome bar
Yeah.
today off the 10-day.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of breaking out of a little base on the daily and off the 200-day.
We got to set up the call with Randy one week.
Yo, gotta
I'll
get
work
Jason
on. I'll
too.
work on that. I'll work on that.
I want to
We
see
gotta get
Jason
who?
call me a wet blanket to my face. Get him
Oh, he
on.
will. He will. He gets sassy. He gets sassy.
Nuts. Yeah. Randall. Okay.
Nice. That's a good candle in Microsoft.
AMD or MU.
Who?
You know, I mean, I made that choice a long time. For me, it's AMD all day, every day. I don't dislike MU. MU's been a source of a lot of disappointment in years past. Maybe it's through that. But for me, it's AMD. I don't know. What you guys got a strong feeling either way?
I feel like both of them give you the butt hurt. So the question is, how much of the butt hurt can you stand? So
Yeah, I don't think either one of them are good traders.
yeah. So I got no interest. If you're gonna be in AI space, then be in the AI space, which is NVDA, which is Broadcom, which is Dell, Oracle. These guys are executing quarter after quarter. So I don't know why Mu doesn't even trade that expensive, so I don't know what causes it to have these wild swings, but
It's a commodity.
yeah. But the whole space is a commodity, so
Well, I feel like the designers are a little less so than, I mean, this is Flash. Anyway. Jason said, shit, he's going to get at you, GP.
what's that?
Jason, when you
Yeah,
told
what he
him
said.
to call it to your face, he said, shit. We got 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes of loving each other on Zoom for the world to see. Nick,
I mean, yeah,
one name, and not it can't be hymns.
can't be hymns. I'll go with Palo Alto.
PANW.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the whole cyberspace per usual, as I've said for years now.
You do.
Yeah, all-time highs. I mean, pushing it, right?
Yeah, I didn't like.
I posted Sentinel One earlier, which I'm long. I always talk about Sentinel One, but 28 is a big level for Sentinel One, and it's coming up on it. Can it get through it? I don't know. We'll see. If it does, I really like it. After that, that was my one name. GP.
DJT.
Seriously.
Take a look at the chart. Take a look at the chart.
Oh, we'll look at this chart.
Yes.
We will look at it. Are you serious? You like DJT?
I actually
Look at
do
the
too.
chart.
Wow. Yeah.
Bullish
Yeah.
DJT.
Look at the daily chart too.
All right. I mean, it gets over 34 and it's a ripper.
Dude, and if it's gonna rip, this is gonna rip monstrous, right? Like it's what this stock does.
What is
So
it anyway?
It's Donald
it's
Trump's
Trump
Truth
Social,
Media.
Truth Social.
That's what it really is. It's really
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
this is
yeah.
it,
It's worth like $700 billion and like makes no money. So it's a garbage stock, but
It
the
was a
setup,
SPAC. Was a SPAC.
wow.
the setup's there, right? It even had that wicked hell of a selling candle while it's trying to break out, move like the false breakout, ready to this
See that coming.
this has
Back.
potential
It's either
to
hero or zero, right? Like if he wins the election, it's going to moon. If he loses, it's going to crater.
yeah, but the move here, I think, if it breaks out, is all the way to 46, right? So you have
Yeah.
a 50% move that could happen here in literally a day. It can happen because this stock is wild from that perspective.
Do you
The
own some
volume-
DJT? Do you have some calls in DJT?
Me, I don't have anything because
No position.
I rather clean my clothes than watch this market. So
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh God, I love you guys.
dude,
Love
but
you
so
too.
so the other one that looks really good that I want to put on everyone's radar, which I think is not in the
DJT
DJ.
wasn't enough. He's got more.
No.
DT
So
Tommy.
you take a look at this company. It's a little small fintech company. Start with the monthly,
Called
work your way.
PayPal.
Nope. Work your way down to the daily, but it's called Dave.
Dave. You've mentioned Dave before.
Yes.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you start with the monthly, it is doing all the right things technically, right? Monster accumulation.
It is.
It is accumulating and consolidating above the 9-month moving average, all this stuff. It's one of the
Obeying
small
moving
cap.
averages.
Well, it's one of the small cap companies. I think they're at like 500 or 600 million. So if IWM performs out of these elections, this is definitely one name to watch because if this does break out with this accumulation, for my views, technically it's to 147.
Holy moly.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, look
Yeah.
at the setup
Yeah.
though, right? It is.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, GP. I'm not yelling you as like I think you're full of shit. Like, yeah, I see it.
It's a monstrous setup. What can fail? Of course, these all fail all the time, right? I'm not saying that, but when you have this level of accumulation on the longer time frames, it's always good to pay attention to it. And it's a very low floater, so the moves can happen pretty quick because it's a low floater. It does less than couple 100,000 shares a day, so it's got wild stuff. But
Do you own Spotify?
I know.
Oh my gosh.
So I have this general rule is anything that doesn't go through the traditional Wall Street avenue of becoming public, I don't participate. It can do whatever it wants. SPACs is number one on that list, and Spot was part of that revolution before SPACs of direct listing, circumventing all the money that Wall Street should make off of IPO roadshows. And so it can do well over time if it executes, but I just don't. I want. It's already hard enough when stocks use Wall Street as the tool to come public.
Well,
So
you've got that and Palantir at all-time highs, which was also a direct listing.
Yep.
It feels like we're getting like to kind of back to your Dave. It feels like we're getting like there's tons of stage one bases that are like
BDX.
Yeah.
right.
But this, so like Dave is actually in stage two. It's already gotten out of the stage one. It went from 6 to 50, right? So this is your consolidation, which is why it's been so long into the next stage or the breakout stage, actually. There is no stage three. Stage three is the breakout. So BDX.
All right, homies.
This is the one you
I love
texted
you.
about, right?
Yeah, BDX. That was a tip from my father-in-law.
All right, I'll have to take a look at this. I haven't looked at it yet.
It's mostly a dividend play, I think, but I mean, the chart looks kind of ready.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's going to the moon, but it looks like it can move. So
What do they do? Becton Dickinson?
they do different types of testing. They're medical device, medical. They're a medical company. They're biomed basically.
Okay.
That type of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
All
Well-
right, guys. Hey, it was fun. I'm glad to see you. And next time I talk to you, I will be back in the office. So.
And the market will be exactly where you left it today. So.
Yep.
Have fun on your vacation. Enjoy your time with
GP's
family.
wet blanket. I'll throw it over the railing here. And
It
let
was
the
a nice
sun
way to
warm
say
it up.
enjoy your vacation and turn off the screens. That's all. Ain't nothing happening.
Love you guys. Thanks, everybody.
Later, guys.